very honored to introduce to you Chief Joe Hill.
Great people, good food, who could ask for anything more? Thank you to the cooks. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. My name is Joe Hill. I'm your police chief in Horry County, and I'm honored to be here. Mike reached out to me and he said Lutheran Church. I kind of got giddy because I'm a Lutheran. And I've been a Lutheran since very small, and here's my story. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. My mom raised me as a single parent. We lived in a pretty decent community, but she saw that problems were brewing in that community. And she wanted to give me some guidance through strong mentoring and coaching from the Lutheran family, St. Paul Lutheran in Cincinnati, Massachusetts. So through a scholarship program, it was very expensive to go to St. Paul Lutheran. I was able to go there. There wasn't a whole lot of minority kids in that school. They took us in, and the Lutheran family has been my family forever. They have asked me when I was little, getting ready to go to high school, when I considered going to Concordia Lutheran College in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Went up there, spent a weekend with some folks, and you got to go where God puts you. And at that time, that was not my path. My path was the military. I was supposed to go to the Naval Academy. I was excited about that. Things didn't work out that way. I spent 7 years as enlisted. And I did 7 years in the Navy and loved every minute of it. And I never once wanted to be a cop. Never grew up cops and robbers. Never had any interest in fighting crime. I just wanted to make a lot of money in the computer industry and Intel and all of that. And I did that. You know, I made pretty good money, but it wasn't making me happy. I didn't feel relevant. I wasn't connected to the community. I was always raised to help people. I wasn't helping anyone sitting behind a desk in my head. So I took a pay cut. At that time, I was making about $50,000 back in 1987. And I took a job in the Fairfax County Police Department making $22,000. So my girlfriend at the time thought I was crazy. She's my wife now. I still think I'm crazy. And she was like, whatever you want to do, you do. You're going to do it anyway. I know you. So I did. And best move I've ever made. I enjoyed assisting the community in Fairfax County. I love my work. I love the profession of law enforcement. And it's ordained. And I entered into a program about 2 years ago out of Cedarville, Ohio, which is a Christian college. And it's a biblically-based leadership program. And one of the things Pastor Oliver told me, he's one of our professors, he was like, your profession as a law enforcement, he was the chief 2 times in Ohio. He said it's ordained in the Bible. And if you read Romans, you understand what I'm talking about. Caesar in government, we are government. And so what we do is ordained. And if you believe that in law enforcement, you will do good works. I think law enforcement has gotten away from our connection to the Bible. And that's just my personal opinion. One of the things I was very surprised at when I got here, it's been a lot of things. I swore in 10 new police officers. And I've never sworn in a police officer. You always had a judge do it. And as we're preparing to swear in 10 police officers, we have a badge at each position where they were going to sit and a Bible that they're issued from the Horry County Police Department. And I had to sign each and every Bible. And I'm thinking, you know, why are we giving a Bible? Because where I'm from, in Northern Virginia, there's a separation of church and state, very much so. And he said, that's what we're doing down here. We give everyone a Bible. And when you walk around the desk at headquarters, you see all the desks inside headquarters, you see scripture, you see Bibles. That's the difference from other police departments in other parts of the country to here. Firm believers, church-going people, good folks that are wearing a badge. So you should be very proud of your officers here in Horry County. And I know we've had some issues in the past down here. One of the reasons they hired me, but those were 4 individuals out of a department of 264. Those individuals made personal choices which got them into trouble, and they were held accountable for those actions. So I'm pleased to be here. I'm happy to serve you in this community, and I look forward to that inclusive partnership that I spoke about. Right now, we've got a heroin issue. It's huge, and I'm reaching out to the community for some help. There's a lot of help inside the churches. If people would just turn to the churches and turn to faith, they could get themselves out of a lot of the bind that they've gotten themselves into. But they're lost. And although I want to lock up all the bad guys in Horry County, that statement was meant to primarily the drug dealers. Now, if you're out driving a golf cart on 17, I'm not coming out yet. Enjoy it. Maybe I should, because we've seen some real close incidents. But that statement was primarily for the drug dealers, that they understand what they're doing and they're wrecking our communities. And it breaks my heart as I drive through some of these distressed communities when I see these young people out. And I'm in a silver Tahoe, it doesn't look like a police car, but you can kind of tell if you look real hard, it's a government vehicle. And they're still selling dope right in front of me. I was out in Long, you heard about the young man that was killed a few weeks back, and I attended his funeral. He wasn't a perfect citizen, but he was a fairly good kid that lost his way. And he was actually an innocent bystander at that particular time. He got struck by a stray bullet. So as I met with the mom, just to kind of comfort her the best I could and tell her we were going to be a presence in the community where we haven't been before because of staffing, she asked me to speak at the funeral. And I thought about it for a second, and I agreed to do that. And the premise of me speaking at the funeral was not for this young man, Levi Moody, sitting in the casket, laying in the casket. It was too late for him. But I had about 75 young people that were his friends who I wanted to talk to. And I got a lot of grief from my own people because they're like, what are you doing going to a criminal's funeral? Why are you going to a guy who lives in the community who maybe was kicked out of school for an incident or was maybe selling dope? And I tried to communicate to my own police officers. I wasn't there for that young man. I was there for the other young people in that audience. And there were some good kids in that audience. And I had a captive audience. And that doesn't happen very often when the police chief speaks. Young people, they don't want to listen to the cops. But that particular Saturday, they were forced to. And what I told them is you have choices to make. You can make the right choice and go off and have a very productive life, be a great citizen. And you can contribute to this great country. Or you can make a wrong choice and wind up losing all your options and going to jail. And so we had a brief conversation. Not sure if I got through to anyone, but if I can get through to one kid, then I've done what I was supposed to do. Good people that we have in this county. But there's a wave coming. The wave is already here. This heroin epidemic is like I've never seen before. It's different than it was. Heroin's been around for a couple of hundred years in different forms. But now we have this additive to heroin called fentanyl. If you ever heard of fentanyl, it's a synthetic additive that the Mexican cartel started adding to the batch of heroin coming out of Mexico. And it comes out of Afghanistan, comes out of Mexico. Because of our very porous borders, we're seeing a surge of that. That fentanyl, when you mix it with heroin, if heroin wasn't bad enough, just 1 or 2 grams of a flake of a salt shaker, just a salt granule, is the difference between life and death. And you've got criminals who their only motivation is the mighty dollar. And they don't care what they're putting in this heroin. That's why our young people are dying. We're running about 30 calls a week for heroin overdoses and about 1 or 2 deaths a week from heroin overdoses. This weekend we lost 2 people, and I suspect a third died of a heroin overdose.